What's going on? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? How are you guys? Thank you so much for joining us. We are officially live. I can see us. And so we're going to go ahead and get moving and get going. Yep, we're good. Listen, you guys, I'm so excited about today, but just in case we've never met before, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Demita McGee. I am a Christian women's business coach. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. And one of the things I'm really excited about is a wealth community that I am a part of. And if you were with us and joined us on Monday, I had a conversation with a former banking professional by the name of Frances Rodriguez. And you guys, she gave us the inside scoop. Seriously, the inside scoop, the tea, if you will. What's up? I see you, Ann. I see y'all. What's going up, Caduce? I see you. I see y'all hopping on now. Let us know that you are out there. I do appreciate you. But listen, she gave us the tea on exactly some of the things that the banking industry doesn't want us to know. Y'all, they are big business, big business. So if you did not see Monday's broadcast, I want to encourage you to go back. It is still live on my Facebook page. It is still live on YouTube. You can go to either of those resources right now. You can check it out. But I mentioned this book, okay, and I did not have it for you to see on Monday, The Creature from Jekyll Island, all right? And so you can actually do your own research, do some digging. It's heavy, but it's a good one. Today, we're going to take this conversation to a completely different level, y'all. I'm so excited about today because, see, we learned some of the things that a lot of us did not know when it came to banking being big business. But what a lot of us had no clue that we could do, we had absolutely no idea that there was a way for us to become our own bank. Now, when you hear it the first time, it sounds absolutely insane, but that's what tonight is about. Tonight is about an alternative that you have to traditional banking that you had no clue was available to you. No clue. So before I bring up the man of the hour, who we get to speak to, who we get to listen to, who you will get to answer or ask questions in that chat, get your questions ready. Okay? Because when I see them, we will share them. So get your questions ready. Now, before I bring him up, what I want you to do, I need you to tag somebody right now. I need you to hit the share button on your page right now. You guys, this is information that can truly transform some significant things for you. And I don't want to take this lightly at all. So go ahead and hit that share button. I appreciate you so much. What's up, April? I see you. Hey, Chancey, how y'all doing this evening? I see you, May Moore. Yes, the creature from Jekyll Island. Thank you so much for popping that in the chat. I see y'all tagging family and friends, and that's exactly what we want to do. All right, so who has shared? I see you, Clarence. Do me a favor. I want you to put a me in the chat. If you've shared this information, if you've shared this live, if you've tagged someone, I want you to put a me in the chat. I want to see you. Yes, April, he is a crypto genius who we are bringing to you. I see you, Sakina Abdul Jalil. Let's go. Let's go. I see it. We got April says me. Clarence said me. I shared it. Eugenia said me. I shared it. Sakina said me. I shared it. Let's go, you guys. Let's get this up. May said me. I shared it. There's a reason. Because, see, this information is about to be so insanely powerful. Let's go. Shireen said, me, I shared it. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Because you are going to wish that your family was on here. You know why? Because nobody can break this information down the way that he has. Nobody's going to be able to explain this. You're going to want to go back to your family and share what he told you. And then you're going to think, wait, I don't, wait a minute. How did he say it? You won't have to do that. Just hit the share button. All right. And just bring them right back to this video. So thank the person who shared it, who put it on their page. And now let's bring up the man of the hour. You guys, I'm so excited. I don't take his time lightly. I don't take his leadership for granted. I don't take his mentorship for granted. You guys, he is an investor. He is a cryptocurrency expert and enthusiast. More than that, before he got involved in this world, he was a pilot that fought for us right here in the United States of America. So he's been leading on a very high level for a very long time. He is a phenomenal father, an amazing husband to the one and only Wanda Webb. He also is a real estate investor. He's done amazing jobs in sales, building teams. You guys ready for this? They've been able to build teams and recruit individuals in excess of over 40 to 50,000 people. that is the type of leadership and the type of person that you're going to hear from this evening. And more importantly, tonight, he is bringing a transformative idea in front of you so you can know that you are no longer at the mercy of the banks and no longer at the mercy of the way that they do business. You guys, I want you to give it up in that chat. And I'm so excited to bring on the one and only Mr. Randy Webb. How are you this evening?
Look, you got me fired up. You got me excited. I know that God is working with Fitzy. I didn't know you were going to bring that book up. And you're crazy right here.
Let's go.
Come on. And I'll tell you this, when you know the truth and you go through history, you kind of start moving a little bit different. So thanks for having me on. I'm excited about it. So let's go.
Good stuff. Let's make sure our sound is good. Jennifer says echo. So what I'm going to do, Randy, is while you're talking, I'm going to mute myself. So when I have a question, you may see me pop some things up on the screen. Y'all, we're going to take care of that echo tonight. Y'all are not going to have it. Hold on. Let me turn off that mic as well. That is also part of it. I got this extra fancy mic in the corner. Randy, do me a favor. Say something really quick. Just say anything really quick.
We about to get wealthy.
Let's go. Okay, how was that, y'all? Was there an echo when he said that? I'm going to wait on your feedback in the chat before we continue moving. Give me some feedback in the chat. Was there an echo when Randy just spoke? We want to make sure we get this right. Hold on, I'm waiting on feedback. There's a bit of a delay. If you are watching the replay, thank you. So I will make sure I mute myself. I will make sure I mute myself when you speak, okay? There's a bit of a delay. So if you have any questions, be patient with us while we get to them. But Randy, I've learned so much from you over the last 15, 16 months, and I'm so grateful. I'm just grateful to be under your mentorship. And so these individuals, some of them have no clue who you are. I know I edified you. I know I introduced you, but if you could just share a little bit about who you are and how we got to where you are today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. First of all, welcome Facebook. If you're on this call, thanks for sharing the information as well too. My name is Randy Webb. I've been, born and raised Compton, California. I come from humble beginnings, and we always lead the story with that because sometimes people will take what your results are today and they'll think that it's so far from them. And I need you to understand that I came from the bottom, the very, very bottom, paycheck to paycheck, the belief that I could even become wealthy. And so all of these things. So luckily, young teenage dad at the young age of 18 years old. I remember working random jobs at that age. But one of the best decisions I made when I joined the Air Force when I was about 18, going on 19 years old, went and enlisted, spent about 4 years in the force. And then I was able to become a pilot, flew C-130s for about 9.5 years total, giving me 14 years in service, had some things happen in 2012. I was going through instructor pilot training, and then I ended up getting sick because of an anthrax vaccine. Got diagnosed with lupus. And you can imagine you're super healthy. You're working your butt off. You got these goals, and then something happens that really kind of takes you out the game, or you feel it takes you out the game. And that's what happened to us in 2012. And truthfully, it ended up being an absolute blessing. I could look back and say, thank you, God, for allowing that to happen. Okay. Because I would not be here right now. Probably would not be talking about cryptocurrency. I would be somewhere in the military right now. Okay. But we were fortunate enough that we were able to walk away from the service in 2013. And I got involved with this industry, which we've been in for 9 years now. We became financially free as entrepreneurs. Like you said, we built up a customer base where we're in the travel industry. And then the blessing came again that we had to transition companies as entrepreneurs. And that's going to happen. Okay. There's always going to be some type of obstacles or pullbacks in life. And we had a little pullback, which was a blessing. We got involved with this company. Listen, I didn't know how to trade. I didn't understand the financial system, the monetary system that we have today. And now cryptocurrency, it was just at the right timing. And what I've been able to do, because I've always been like a researcher, a reader, and I just dove into this. And I know we're going to get into it, so I'm going to go too far with it. But long story short, I've been able to go from where we had nothing, living paycheck to paycheck, to where we don't worry about money anymore. We don't have to worry about calling the boss to get time off. We run our life. We run our finance. We run everything. And now to the point we run our banking system ourselves without requiring any interaction with anybody else. Okay. And so that's what I'm fired up and excited about. So hopefully I shared enough information about myself there.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So really quick, you guys let me know. I think I found a button that stops the echo. That was all on me. It was a setting that I needed to press, y'all. And I found it while I was back here working on some things while Randy was sharing. So first of all, this gentleman hails from Compton, California. That is huge. I want you to know he was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But I also want you to know he's qualified. Everything he's about to talk to us about tonight. Randy, you owe no man nothing.
Nothing.
Not on your house, not on your car, not on your nothing.
House, car, nothing, credit card, because that is the trick. And we're going to talk about that. That's the trick. I owe nothing to no man.
Start there. And then I want to get into this banking, because that is the trick. And you've educated so many of us, and you're taking us on this journey of, I know that, listen, just the subscription services for all these various things, just taking a phone and, instead of paying for the phone, but paying for it every single month and tying that money up. So you owe no man anything. So you have freedom. The Bible says that to be in debt is to be a slave. That is literally what the Bible says. There is a spiritual transfer that happens, and people don't know it. That's why you feel weird when you owe somebody money, because it happens on a spiritual level, not a physical level. And so you have pure, unadulterated freedom. Yes. So why don't we just start there? Because you're more than qualified for this conversation.
Absolutely. And I'll say that the first rule is getting out of debt. And we all know that, right? We all say get out of debt. We have this dream of getting out of debt, and most people are drowning in debt. So the question is, why aren't we out of debt? Why is 80% in America? Why is 80% of the population in debt? And don't think it stops in America. This is globally. I have an international team. I was just talking to someone, and they were talking about the debt that they have. And I'm like, mind blown. But you got to understand, when you learn the system, okay, because it's a system and it all goes together. And for this system to work, I'm talking about the economy. People have to spend money. Now, the question is, what type of people do you want to be inside the system? Okay. Do you want to be the people who own a lot of money? You don't worry about time, money, or anything, and you can be charitable and you can go wherever you are in the world? Or do you want to be right in the middle of the people, right? Average, and just have enough, okay, where you maybe can't contribute, but you can take care of your family? Or do you want to be at the very bottom where you can't contribute to nobody? Matter of fact, you can't contribute to anything, probably barely yourself, okay? Now, this doesn't happen by accident, unfortunately, right? Because most of us think we're in our situation because of luck or because unfortunate circumstances. And I can be honest, because I came from the bottom, and my habits is what caused me to be in the bottom, right? You hear things like you only live once, right? You don't believe that you believe that if this person is winning over here, then that person can't win over there. You have these beliefs that are holding you back from becoming wealthy or becoming rich. So the first part, obviously getting out of debt. Me and my wife, when we made a decision, first of all, that we wanted to have more money, we wanted to be above average, we wanted to be rich, okay? We knew that we had to get out of debt. And for us, that was in 2007, 2008. And we did some things that most people probably wouldn't do right now, okay? But I want to go extreme. When I want to get out of debt, I want to get out of debt. So we went lean. There was a time in our life where we had one car that we're using. We had one cell phone, y'all. Okay. And then there were no luxuries happening. Unfortunately, we weren't going on dates all the time. The life that we have today, not even close. Okay. We were very tight. And we did that so that we could get out of debt. And then, of course, as I went across this journey, to the right of me, if you can see the right of me, I have a gang of books. They're all like financial books, Robert Kiyosaki, Law of Success. Okay. And I just started studying wealth. But here's how the debt system works. Just period. First, you have to know that the Federal Reserve Bank, right? It's a private institution, really. It's not a governmental bank, even though they follow the direction of Congress. And they have three mandates and I'm gonna get into them. Three mandates. One, okay, maximize employment. You're like, okay, what does that mean? Well, they want maximum employment because the only way that the government gets revenue is through taxes. Always remember this, okay? The government only makes money one way. Taxes, okay? The more people that are working, the more taxes that they receive. So whatever they can do to reward people working to get more taxes, they're going to do that, okay? Or whatever they can change to make people tax, they're going to do that because that's what they need to get out of debt. But our government is in debt. And when they're in debt, guess what? They need to indebt some more people. And so that maximum employment, they do all those things. So to stimulate the economy, they need you to borrow money. They need you to have credit cards. They need you to spend money. Okay. And when you're doing that, the economy's circulating. Okay. When you're buying something from the grocery store or from this business over here, that business is being stimulated. And then they're able to go spend some money in some place, and they're able to go spend some money. And that's what they expect. They don't want you to, what they like to say, hoard money, but they don't want you to necessarily get money, invest it, and really become wealthy. Not saying they don't want you to get wealthy, but most people, based on what the system is, you're not in position to get rich. You're in position actually to stay in the system and spend your money and then die. So we did the opposite.
So this is the thing. You're going to have somebody listening, because we're about to really start to dig in. And I was so tempted to pull up that graphic that you pull up all the time, the U.S. debt clock. I was so tempted to just pull that up real quick while you were talking about.
You can do that, yeah.
fast enough. I'm gonna pull that up, but you're gonna have somebody that's listening right now because they've never heard any of the information that you're sharing. Like this is a first for them, and so it's difficult to even fathom that it's possible to create your own economy in your home and
Yeah.
to create your own banking system. How did you even get to the point? I'm ready to kind of introduce that to people while I pull up this debt clock.
Mhm.
How did you get to the point that that was even a possibility, your own banking system?
So, man, and here's what I'll tell you. I'll preface this with there's never losses in your life. There's only lessons, right? Sometimes we think we will take a loss in life and like, man, that hurt. But I received a blessing, and I'm gonna kind of try to share a little bit with you because we're kind of in a process of writing on this right now. But I got in something back in the days in 2013. So while I was going with my past company, my mentors, they were already millionaires. They were doing a concept called infinite banking. Okay. Now, with that concept, the theory was that you could fund a whole life insurance policy, and it had different attributes that allow you to do banking. Now, when we break this down, what is banking? Now, most people got to understand, what does a bank even do for you? Okay. Let's be honest. A bank doesn't do anything for you. Okay. A bank is in business for profit. And this is what we forget. We are just shuffling around in the system, okay? And we do it because our grandparents do it and their grandparents do it and so forth. But what is a bank really serving you for right now? What is it? What, to loan you money, to keep you in the system, to give you credit? That's keeping you locked in debt and in the system. You don't want to do that, okay? So really, let's look at the perspective of having a bank. What does the bank do as a business person, okay? Well, a bank, they loan out money so they can get interest. Okay. A bank gives loans, okay, so that they can earn interest on that as well, too. So a bank constantly moves around money. A bank trades money as well, too. Hence, that's what we're going to get to. Because of this blockchain technology, we're able to now do exactly what the banks do on our own accord. For those who are not familiar with cryptocurrency, okay, Bitcoin was one of the first tokens to be built on the blockchain, okay? And what Bitcoin was created to do was be a peer-to-peer payment system. Okay. Why do you have a bank? Most of you might say because they allow me to have a debit card and I can swipe my card to go pay for stuff. Well, you don't need a bank anymore for that because you can now do that off the blockchain. Okay. And you don't have to pay the fees the bank gives you, or you don't have to get charged what they call these overdraft fees. Okay. Banks are making a lot of money and they don't even have money. You realize that they make $30 billion on overdraft fees every year. 30 billion. From money that's not even theirs. Can you imagine that? You getting charged like, but that was my money. That's what? That's how they get you. And then they play the game of moving the money around and so forth. So the concept of learning how to bank came from a concept called infinite banking, where I went aggressive because I was excited about being free. We've always had the knowledge and the want to be free. Okay, that decision, you got to make a decision. I want to be free. Well, this concept, when it got explained to me, it made sense. I'm like, I like it. Okay, the only problem with it was there was a middleman. Okay. That's the problem with any financial service. See, we're not in the times of caveman where a man will be devoured by a dinosaur or a man will be devoured by his physical strength. You beat someone that way. Today, you're beaten by financials. Man devours his prey financially. Okay. And so the way that our system is, if you don't get educated, you will be devoured in the financial system. And that starts with the banks. Okay. And so when I started with infinite banking, okay, I didn't know too much about insurance, but they told me, hey, you fund this policy, you take a loan against it, and then that money at some point will build up. Now, here's the problem. That percentage that was in there, I didn't know whether it was going to go up an hour, how long it was going to take to go up, and when I was going to have access to it. They had access to it. And so long story short, we had did that program for like five years. And unfortunately, when we were transitioning businesses, we had some issues pop up and I had to make some decisions. Okay. We had real estate. We had some other investments, and of course, we had our day-to-day living. Now, I don't sell assets, especially when they're not ready to be sold. So we didn't sell our real estate assets. I had to let those policies lapse, unfortunately. And then the person who was running them, some things could have been done. Just know it was a middleman involved, so we just had to let the policies go. Long story short, multiple six figures lost in equity with those policies. So fast forward, 3 years down the line, okay, now I learned cryptocurrency and it pops in my head like, dude, you can do the same thing, except here's the difference. Immediately when you fund your account, it's there. You don't have to wait. You completely own it. No one takes a profit from it. It's yours. Okay. And here's it.
Okay, stop. Because it's about to be good. It's about to be
Right.
Listen, you guys in the chat, everybody's in a different place. Everybody's in a different place, financially, everybody's in a different place, mentally. And what I want you to understand, the conversation that we are having is not your typical average everyday conversation. So Randy is talking about things like, listen, I don't sell assets. So you got to understand that book he mentioned, Robert Kiyosaki. We also talked about that book on Monday, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The subtitle of that book, what rich people teach their children that the poor and middle class do not. Okay. Randy is teaching us rich people secrets. Rich people teach their children to get assets, not liabilities.
That's right.
Simply put, assets put money in your pocket, liabilities take money out. So when he says, I don't sell assets, that's because assets put money in his pocket. Assets pay him and allow him to live his lifestyle. He's told us the story many times of when they needed a truck, he went and had a house that paid for that truck. His asset bought that truck, and he still had the asset and the truck. That's what he's talking about today. So I want to back up a little bit because there are people that are listening, and when they even hear the word Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, I remember the mental blocks that I had. Yeah. Why should we trust cryptocurrency? Like, at least with a bank, it's insured. I know somebody's thinking it. So let's start there before we get into how we use this, and we can really do some damage with it.
Why you gonna set them up like that, Demeter? Why you gonna set them up like that, right? And so here it goes. That's a great listen. The way it's posed, great question, because most people, well, this is already here. It's already in place. But have you researched it? Have you researched what's happened in history with the banking system? See, this is where the miseducation or the lack of education hurts, because we don't realize that banks, everything they're trying to say that's happening in the cryptocurrency world happened 100-fold in the banking world, okay? To where things were hacked, money was stolen. You're getting money stolen every day because of inflation. And let me go and learn, what is inflation? Inflation is when the cost of goods around you are going up in value, okay? But your money, your buying power is decreasing. So what you could have bought, let's say 10 years ago for a certain price, you cannot buy that today. Listen, what you could have bought last week, gas was at a certain price, you can't buy this week. Inflation right now is at 55% for gas. Don't let them lie to you about 5%, y'all. Okay, that's a whole trick. Okay, go do the numbers. Go look at the math. They don't expect you to look at the math. Gas went from $2.17 to $3.50 and beyond. That's 55%. Okay, and so when it comes to, like, we talk about assets, right? You gave the example about the truck. Mm-hmm. One thing I learned is I was never going to just spend money just because, without buying an asset first. So when we talk about Bitcoin versus what the banks are doing, Bitcoin is going to continually go up in value because of its scarcity, its limited availability. With our banking system, they already gave you proof. There's been 13 market crashes in the past 120 years of its existence. Okay, what does this mean? Market crashes sometimes means the market can correct by 50%, 60%, can go all the way down. Oil reset to zero. What does that mean for some of you who were holding that in your portfolios, in your 401ks that you didn't know you had? You lost a portion of your 401ks. So when you say that, well, I got the banking system and I got this, well, it's already proven not to work. Okay, we're 40 years in existence with the 401k that's went through the banking system as well too, and it's proven the 401k system does not work. It's not retiring people. Some people don't have, or a lot of people don't have enough in their 401k right now. The average 401k has $106,000 in it. Okay, you got baby boomers. 45% of baby boomers don't even have a retirement plan. The 55% that do, okay, 28% of them have less than $10,000 in their retirement. Okay, they're not in position to retire. And there's been a lot of tricks down the road. I can go regulation after regulation. Okay, let me give you one. Let me just show you how money gets moved around. You want to trust the banking system, right? And first of all, things that are risky get insured. Let me say it again. Only things that are risky need insurance. Let me say it one more time. Only things that are risky need insurance. Why would they say that we have insurance for you? Because they need to make sure that you feel confident. Okay. See, our money system is about confidence. As soon as you lose confidence, it's not really money. See, our money is what it is because the government says it's legal tender. And anything outside of that, that's not law. They've only outlawed something one time. It was gold back in 1933. Outlawed for you to hold it. Okay. And it's always in the benefit of the governmental party. Okay. So I'm going down a whole different lane. So let me make sure I'm going to stay on track and keep this simple.
It's easy though. It's so easy too.
But the banking system, okay, our dollars went in one direction. Okay. It's went down, decreased in buying power. See, right now, real estate is proof of that. I used to invest in real estate because that was a major asset. Robert Kiyosaki talked about real estate because that was a safe storage of value as they printed money. The more they printed money, the bigger real estate went up. So for example, real estate was at $269,000 as far as the average house price a couple years ago. Now it's at $370. Now it's going, and then it's going to go to $469 in the next 4 years. And then it's going to be at $570 in the next 8 years. The average house price around the world, around the United States. So that means the majority of Americans will not be able to afford their homes. To afford a home, homes are going to be an average of $500,000. Why is that happening? Because of our banking system. Okay, what does our banking system do? Okay, here's how it works. The Federal Reserve is the central bank. They control everything, the money, all right? And then they have 12 regional banks in different locations, okay? And then when they want to insert money into the economy, they go physically print it for real. They print money, or it could be a keystroke, boom. So we're talking about this 3.5 trillion stimulus, right? If it gets approved where they raise the debt ceiling, that's what they're going to do. They're going to send a thing to Congress, say, hey, we're going to do 3.5 trillion. The banks are going to print 3.5 trillion. They're going to buy what we call T-bills, T-notes, or T-bonds. They're just based on maturity. So whether they hold it for less than 10 years or more than 10 years. But the biggest thing, what is those treasury bills? They're debt. It's debt the government's holding. Okay. So you're buying it so that you can get a return or interest based off of that. So are you hearing me? You buy them so that you can make interest off of them. Okay. So our government is selling its debt. It's like you going to go get a consolidation loan from the bank. Okay. So that's like what our government does. So they go to the Federal Reserve, they get this money, boom, we owe them interest because of that. Okay. So they buy these T-bonds. Once they buy them, guess what the Federal Reserve do? Federal Reserve is a private bank. Remember this. Okay. The Federal Reserve puts this on their balance sheet as an asset. Okay. Why? Because that is going to bring them interest. Right now, if she was to pull up that debt clock, I think we owe like, was it 40? It's trillions of dollars we owe trillions of dollars, $400 trillion or something like that to the Federal Reserve in interest alone. Okay. The bank basically owns the U.S. So let's go. If we go down interest, okay. Let me find it on here. U.S. total debt. Bank interest received is that 665 billion. That's
I'm looking for it. Wait. I'm looking for what's it called?
No. U.S. total interest paid is 3.4 trillion. Because right in the middle.
Okay, right in the middle.
U.S. total interest paid.
The middle is moving on me. Oh, right here. Is this it? No, that's debt.
So go right from the U.S. national debt. Go to the next box, and then the box right below that.
So you said, over here. Go
US
down
total,
here.
U.S. total interest paid. I think that's what that say. I
seriously don't see it.
It's showing so we owe 3.4 trillion in interest to the Federal Reserve, Federal Reserve in interest. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's going to keep on going up. 4 years from now, we're going to be in national debt of 49 trillion. 8 years from now, we're going to be $84 trillion in debt. Why is that important to you? Because that's what causes inflation. And so here's what rich people do. Okay. This is why you hear the term, the rich will continually get rich while the poor gets poor. Why? Because the rich are the ones holding on to real estate assets. So when you have these assets, maybe you own a grocery store, maybe you own a gas station, maybe you own one of these things that people have to buy. So during this pandemic, do you realize the top 1% brought in, what was it? Did they say 7 trillion? It was trillions of dollars during the pandemic while people were losing stuff. Okay. Why? Because of assets. Assets were going high up because of inflation was happening. So if you owned anything, it went up in price. So this is what you want to do. You want to always make sure you have assets that pay for liabilities. Liabilities will be the things that take you out. In this season, those who had liabilities, let's say you had a mortgage. Guess what? If you were a little small time, and I was a small time landlord before, where you had some properties and that property paid some things here, paid some things there. Well, this season, when they told people stop paying rent, but you still had to pay the banks, and then you didn't have enough money, you had to foreclose. Okay. Why? Now your property would have went up in value, but guess what banks weren't doing? Banks weren't even refinancing your property for you, even though you were in trouble. So when you need the banks, they don't allow you to use them. Mm-hmm. So big time people got more rich. The middle class got poor and start going down into more poverty. People lost things in this season. Okay. So hopefully I explained. So long story short, listen, the banking system, it's broken. And typically banking systems show to, especially when they're broken, it takes about 100 years for them to collapse. This one has collapsed, and Bitcoin is come in and it's proven to be sound. Okay, let's talk about this last thing, sound money. What makes money sound? That means a good dollar, okay, or a good investment. It requires 5 things, okay? It requires durability. That means that like you can't break it, or we can use it if it rains on it, like we still have it, okay? Portability, that means you can take it anywhere. So when they're looking at ways to have different type of money, can I take it with me? So gold used to be saying, hey, can we take gold with us? Yeah, we can take little 1 ounce coins and stuff like that, okay? But when you start getting into the 10 ounce and 50 ounce, that'll be a heavy brick to carry, okay? So gold didn't truly have the natural portability to carry a lot of it. And then so is that sound money? Gold is still sound. So durability, portability, divisibility, okay, meaning it can be divided to the lowest common denominator. Now gold couldn't do that, okay? The dollar, how can our dollar be divided? It is, right? We can get down to at least 1 penny. But what about the decimals, right? The 0.00, 001s. That's how much cryptocurrency is breaking down the money, because you guys got to understand numbers. 1 cent over 1 billion people is a lot of money.
Yes,
now you have an opportunity to see that yourself in the crypto space. So divisibility. The next one is intrinsic value. There has to be value in there. Okay. So let's look at the dollar. Does the dollar have value? Some of you are going to say, yeah, it has value. What kind of value does it have? Well, I pay my bills with it. Well, why can you pay your bills with it? Because the government said it was legal. So it's not that it doesn't have intrinsic value. It has lawful value. Okay. The difference. So if the dollar wasn't a legal tender, we could stop taking it overnight. The world can stop taking the dollar overnight. The dollar is valuable to the world right now because we were labeled the world reserve during the Brentwood Agreement. That was dealing with oil and stuff like that. But trust me, folks, that's under fire right now. That's what's happening. People are fed up. The dollar has been taking a lot of wealth from people. Okay. So and then the last one is limited supply. This is where we take out the dollar. It has to be scarce. Limited supply and demand. Why? Because that's what's going to allow value to go up, because of the demand for it. But if there's no demand for it, because we just can print it anytime that we want, that means when the government can't pay its bill, it can just go print money, put in the economy. There's no demand. Therefore, we deplete wealth, or we deplete buying power. But unfortunately, that's not depleting the buying power for the government. It's depleting the buying power for you. The government just wants your labor. Okay. The government gets your labor, your taxes. That's it. Okay, so that's where sound money comes in. When you look at Bitcoin, is Bitcoin sound money? Yes, it has all of those. What's the intrinsic value? The blockchain, peer-to-peer is like Uber for banks. Okay, so it has major intrinsic value for us. And then lastly, the last one, it's limited supply. There's only 21 million Bitcoins. Some of you are not fathoming what that means. Okay, let me explain it to you. Right now, there's only 1% of people who are participating in cryptocurrency right now. Okay. There's 68 million documented cryptocurrency wallets around the world. So less than 1%. Okay. Wow. When more percentage start learning about it, the limited supply is going to drive the value up. That's why you want to be the first. You want to understand this thing. Okay. The next thing, there's 21 million. There's currently 18.5 million that are currently in circulation right now. That means there's a couple, there's 1.5 million left. Or 2.5 million less. Now, check this. There's only 56 million millionaires in the world. Let me say it again. There's only 56 million millionaires in the world. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around for all of them. So your goal is to own at least one. And this is where we're coming in and showing you how. Now, some of you are on this call right now like, man, Bitcoin is how much? I can't own a Bitcoin. Not true. You haven't tried yet. You can. Actually, we have this banking system that we're talking about right now. You could be dead broke right now. And we can change your life around by changing the way that you think about how you spend money before you do it. Like my truck example that Demetra talked about, before I bought my wife's SUV, okay, we went and bought a little cheap property for $50,000. We were turning around and rented it out for $850. Our mortgage was only $350. We had an extra $500. That $500 paid off my wife's truck over the next 5 years. And then we still kept the property, made rental income, and then sold the property for double what we paid for it. Okay. This is what you can do with Bitcoin. So maybe you're on this call right now. You're like, man, I just got $20 to my name. $20 can change your life. You don't believe me? Then that's the problem. I just said that you're like, 20 bucks can change my life. What you do with $1 is what you will do with $1 million. And that's the problem. Most people, because they look at the money like, that's just a little bit, and they spend it. Your problem is you're spending what you think is a little. See, I want to flip my dollars. $1 is a lot of money to me because $1 in my household equals $5 to what I know. And then over the generations, $1 can equal $1 million one day. And when you start looking at money that way, you'll start moving differently. You'll have different spending patterns. Okay. You'll definitely look for investments and you won't be scared to take risks, right? No risk, no reward.
Question. So somebody is listening right now. I could ask so many things. I'm not going to go back too far, but I got stuff written down, but I'm not going to go all the way back. One of the things that was really interesting that Randy said a while ago, you guys, when he talked about the 401k and he talked about oil going down, he said, some of y'all, what does that mean for you? And your 401k, was affected, but you didn't even realize that was in your 401k. So you think you're investing, but you don't know what's in there. And what happens now is when you come into this cryptocurrency space, this is where you get the education to understand what your money is doing. So you said, I know that $1 is like $5. Somebody is listening like, wait, no, $1 is $1. Why is $1 $5?
That's good. Yes. So you have the great thing about cryptocurrency is you have the privilege to back your dollar. When I say back your dollar, that means when you buy an asset, okay, that asset now backs your money, right? So when I buy a real estate property, let's say I buy that real estate property that cost me $50,000. Okay, that $50,000 is now backed by that real estate property. When that real estate property I talked about, when it went to 100,000, shoot, my 50 turned to 100. Okay, imagine putting your dollar in Bitcoin. Okay, and then when Bitcoin goes to a certain price, which we already know where it's going, right? We understand the markets, the education, everything, and the volume. When Bitcoin goes, let's say we expect to go to 200,000 right now. Okay. When it goes to 200,000, if I invest my dollar right now, that dollar becomes $4 at 200,000. So that's why someone who has just 20 bucks right now, you're like, I don't got nothing. You put 20 bucks in Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin goes to 200,000, you now have 80. Okay. You get that you have to do something different. And so you can back your dollar with anything. And the great thing is there's so much technology out there that you can back your money by. Obviously, I love Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the number one. Then we can go about Ethereum and Solana and all these major projects that have actual value. Okay. Remember we said the five characteristics of sound money. I look at all of those things. Okay. But not all crypto is sound money. I got to understand that. Okay, let's talk about Dogecoin is not sound money. Why? Because it's unlimited. When you go look at the white papers, you go look at the how many coins, it can be printed unlimited, just like the dollar. So Doge is not a sound investment unless they have a burning. Now I'm going far, but this is education. A burning mechanism where they burn certain coins to where it does limit the supply. Okay, this is why Ethereum became valuable because they put in a burning mechanism that limited the value, even though they have infinite volume. Okay, and so it has to be a mechanism that is going to limit the supply to make it sound. And so back your money, buy an asset.
Yeah. Guys, listen, somebody right now is struggling. I know what my challenges were when I would have these conversations before. So I'm gonna take it because Randy's brain is, right? And that information is swimming and he could spew this like fire real quick. And I saw Francis put in the chat, like, I can't unsee what I've seen. Like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I want you to think of, because I wrote down scarcity, because somebody heard scarcity and that worries them because they believe you should have a lot of something. Scarcity makes some people nervous. I want you guys to think of the simple example that we learned in a class like economics, the simplest of simplest examples. If I have a community of 100 people and I have 200 bags of apples, I have a lot of apples, few people, I need to sell those apples very cheap to get rid of them. If I got a community of 100 people and all I have is 10 bags of apples and everybody wants these apples, there's a scarce amount of apples, the value of those apples go up. That's a simple way to understand why scarcity is important. So now let's transition, Randy. Let's transition. Because now we get to talk about how in the world does cryptocurrency, how does that help us create our own banking system? Like what is that? What can you help us understand about that? If this is the first time we've ever heard this before, some of us our minds are blown forever, right? Some of us are hearing this for the first time. Like, how is that even possible?
So the banking system. So most people think it, when I say bank, you think of a building, right? A bank is not a building. That's why Bill Gates in the 1990s, way ahead of his time, he goes, we need banking, but we don't need banks. Okay. So it's not the building, right? Just like we say, it's not the church, the people. Okay. It's banking. It's what you do. So how do we bank? Well, first, there's opportunities in what we call the decentralized finance space, right? We call it decentralized finance because our typical monetary system was centralized. When you go into Bank of America, for example, or JP Morgan, any one of those, they're all centralized institutions, meaning you go in, you say, I want to deposit some money, you deposit some money, they put it on this ledger. But you don't see what's going on that ledger. You don't know how much money is in that bank. They could be dead broke, which they typically are dead broke, okay? And so if you knew a bank was broke, you would not put your money there. And most banks are broke. Now, some people are mind blown, like, what do you mean banks are broke? I can go get my money right now. No, you get electronic money. So that's what's being traded around. But if some disaster happened, the banks would immediately shut off everybody because they know that everyone would come and they wouldn't have the money there. Okay. So the blockchain allows us to create a banking system. And because of certain decentralized finance companies, they have put in place where you can keep your assets, okay, in their wallets. And then because you're leveraging your assets on those wallets, just like real estate, you can borrow against it. Okay. And so this is what allows us to do banking, because most people say, okay, I want to invest, but I need some of this money. And so let's say I'm going to go invest 10 grand into this wallet. I buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's an asset. Okay. And I say, hey, I need some money right now. It's like going to a physical bank. I go to the bank if I had real property, like real estate, and I would say, hey, could I get a home equity line of credit? Or could I get an equity loan? Okay. And they would give me a loan if I approve for it, right? Remember, once again, you got this asset and you got to approve for something you already own. Okay. You got to catch this. This is the power. But let's say we're using Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is better than real estate. This is why I turn my real estate in for Bitcoin. Okay. And so you buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you put it on a platform that allows you to borrow against it. That means when you borrow against it, you don't sell it. Okay. You still own it. So whatever value's in it, you're going to get it. So it's like a house. You don't sell your house to get the equity line of credit. Okay. You still own it. So if it goes up in value, that's yours. So when Bitcoin goes up in value, I leverage it. Let's say they give me $5,000 in fiat currency. Okay. And now I can go do whatever I want with that money. I go spend $5,000 on whatever. And then Bitcoin goes up because I bought 10,000 at 60,000. Bitcoin goes up to 200,000. How much do I have? Well, my Bitcoin value is now at about 35,000, maybe 40,000. Well, in my banking system, because I'm banking, I borrowed $5,000 of fiat currency. I didn't borrow $5,000 of Bitcoin. Catch it. I borrowed 5,000 of fiat currency. Okay. My Bitcoin is still my asset. That's my baby. That's my house. So when Bitcoin goes up, I got 35 to 40,000. I owe myself 5,000. I pay the 5,000 off, and I now have 35,000 free and clear. Okay. Imagine doing that. Some of you are on this call right now, and you make, because we hear it all the time. Well, I only make, if you're an American, you're below 30, I think 40,000 or 35,000, you're considered to be in poverty. Okay. And so majority of people are in poverty. 50% of our population is in poverty. And so they will never get out of that situation if they have this thought process. And that thought process, I don't make enough. I don't have enough to invest. You'll always be working and being right where you are if you do that. Okay. You have to do something different. And so what I believe we created with this banking system, okay, is we allow average people like you, and once upon a time was myself. That's where I came from. I was working 2 jobs as security guard, and I was still only making about a total of $17 total with both my jobs an hour. Okay. I was hurting as a young kid, and I was a teenage dad. And so now let's say you make $35,000 a year. Well, now I'm going to show you a way where you still have we're still going to show you how to have spending money. But let's say you have in your 35,000, your slush fund where you have about, let's say, $10,000 that you spend on just things. Okay. So that's a playroom where you can say, well, I can cut some expenses there, but let's just use 10,000 of your 35,000. We want to use the whole thing. And you decide to put $10,000 into your banking system, and you need to use that money. Okay. So you put 10,000 in, and you're like, I'm gonna borrow 5,000 out. So you now have 5,000 plus your 15,000 that you didn't put in the system. So you have $20,000 total to live off of, but you now have 10,000 put away as an investment, even though you borrowed 5,000. I need you to catch this, because you just need this one break. That's what I'm calling. You need one break in your life. Okay. You get this one break. where you now have a savings of $10,000. That will change your life. Because now you got some room to make some big moves. You make that one move and you get out of the current situation you in. Now you know how to multiply some things. You keep on doing it over and over again until you're out. And so if you're on this call and you don't make that much money, we just got to find a little wiggle room. And then we buy some Bitcoin. And then we leverage it. And then we let Bitcoin do its thing. Okay. It requires some patience. It requires some confidence. Really, it requires confidence. Confidence is what brings patience, because you know where the market is going. And this is why our education platform is so powerful and why it's absolutely needed.
That's good. So I got two questions. You described a process that has a name. That name is called dollar cost averaging. And you described that process when you said just a little bit. Can you break that down for there's a person right now and they're thinking, man, but didn't I just see? I feel like I saw someplace that a Bitcoin is like 60,000 or 50,000. Like, how is a $20 piece of Bitcoin going to matter? Can you just break down really quick? And then there's someone else who's on here thinking, but isn't that risky? Bitcoin is risky, isn't it? They're thinking those two thoughts. And so it's hard for them to even get to the concept of banking. And I'm proof that this banking system works because we've started our bank. Yes. And to see it is incredible. And so to that person, and we're going to wrap up here soon, because the fact that Randy gave us this much of his time is amazing. To that person that's thinking this is risky, and that person that doesn't understand the concept of dollar cost averaging, can you just share that with them really quick? And then we are going to wrap this bad boy up.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about the risk. Everything is risky, right? Walking across the street is risky. Right. I'm not going to sell you on what risk is. No risk, no reward. The true risk is this. I'm gonna just tell you from what's real, what's factual. Okay. Over my study on 401ks, right? 401k, you can write this down, created by Ted Benner. 401k was a tax code, and it was just really meant to give you to delay the tax you would have to pay. And then this guy, Ted Benner, said, man, we can make that retirement plan. So he actually, he was the CEO and founder of Johnson & Johnson. We won't even go into that conversation. But yeah, some of y'all are thinking, because if you're watching what's happening, you understand that's where Johnson & Johnson fit in at. But it all ties together. So you got Ted Benner, who started the 401k plans and offered it to his employees first. Okay. And it was oversold. I'll say that, because they put some numbers out there that did not happen. Hey, it's based on making 8%. Like your portfolio makes 8% a year every single year. You're never going to take losses. That's a lie, because you're going to take a loss every 10 years. Why? Because a market crash happens every 10 years. So you're going to take a loss in your portfolio. Hence, this is why people don't have retirements right now. So the current 401k system, you putting your money there, that was a risk. Imagine doing 30 years working. You get to the end of your time, you're ready to retire. You don't got enough. Mm-hmm. Was that a risk? Absolutely. That was a long-term risk. As a matter of fact, that was a life risk, because not only did you risk for you, it also put other people, maybe your kids, because now you put them in a position, or anyone around you, right? No one's going to watch you hurt, depending if you have family. So that's risky. Not taking a risk is risky, because if not this, then what? Most of us, we don't ask the right questions. How am I going to retire? A lot of people just say out of sight of mind. They don't even think about it. But the truth is, you have to think about it. Okay. You need $1 million to retire off of. Okay. If you're only making $35,000 a year right now, you need $1 million to retire. I want you to multiply 35 times 30. You're going to see it equals $1,050,000. That means you'd have to save your whole check. So it's impossible for you to save your whole check so that you can retire, because you're living off that money. So where are you going to take a risk at? At some point, you got to take a risk. So that's what I'll leave at. So we call it risk management. Everyone's going to take some risk. So if you're looking not to take a risk, that's impossible. You're going to take a risk. Okay. I'm just going to take the calculated risk. And I believe, in my opinion, for me, Bitcoin is a calculated risk. So dollar cost average, let's talk about the $20. Someone asked on here, how much does Bitcoin cost? Bitcoin costs how much you pay for it. Now, the true overall cost, Bitcoin is currently, the market value is sitting at like 60 some, or actually at 58,000 or 59,000 right now. Okay. But you don't got to buy a whole Bitcoin. That's what makes cryptocurrency better. The divisibility. Okay. Remember I said a sound investment, the money, because you can divide Bitcoin. Don't matter who you could buy $1 worth of Bitcoin right now. Yeah, you could buy Bitcoin for $1 right now. Okay. And that dollar can go to $5. Start somewhere. So it doesn't matter. Everyone can get involved. Now I'm going to bring something to light. they're launching Bitcoin ETFs. Okay. Or you have the Dow. Guess what? You ain't gonna be able to buy a percentage of an ETF. You got to buy the whole share. You can't buy a percentage of Tesla. Tesla's sitting at $700 right now. You can't buy a percentage. You can't buy $10 of Tesla right now. That's why Robinhood came out, by the way, okay, to do that, to help people put pieces in. But that's still another. Now you got a middleman on top of a middleman. Enough of that conversation. That's fees on top of fees. So the less money you have, the more money you have to pay when it comes to our traditional finance system, okay? But in this cryptocurrency system, it is meant for people like you who don't really have money, for people like me who didn't have money, because now we can take stuff in bite-sized pieces. So Bitcoin, you can buy $20 of a $60,000 Bitcoin right now until you own one, okay? And I'll tell you, this is what our banking system is going to allow you to do, because you're going to just go about life the normal way. Still spend your money how you spend your money, except you're not going to spend your money until you back it with the asset. And because you're backing it every time you spend it, you're accumulating it. Yes. And eventually you're going to accumulate one Bitcoin. Folks, when you accumulate one Bitcoin, I'm going to say you're definitely above average, but I ain't going to say you're done because you might have bigger goals, but I'll tell you, you are definitely done for what the average is doing, because Bitcoins can change your life in a major way. If Bitcoin goes to 250,000, 300,000 like we expect it to do, okay? Have you ever had 6 figures sitting in your bank account, 300,000 in your bank account? Has that even been a thought that is possible? Okay, I'm telling you right now, it's very possible. Okay, it's happening. It's right around us. Like, people are accumulating money that they've never accumulated before, and that's what makes me. The impact is what excites me every single time. So then you said dollar cost average. So far as putting money in, it doesn't matter how much you put in. You can buy fractions of it because of its divisibility. Okay, dollar cost averaging. People always say, well, isn't it too high to buy right now? Because and they worry about where the price is, because you're thinking about loss. Well, wonder if it pulls back. Well, you only lose when you sell it at a loss. Okay, this is an asset. Like, that's like me owning my real estate property, and in my neighborhood, let's say real estate takes a hit and it falls for a couple years, but I'm like, I need the money so bad, I decide to sell my real estate at a loss instead of just collecting the rent. No, I'm not gonna do that. Just wait till the market comes back up. Okay, and that's what you do. You're just gonna wait for the market to come back up. So what dollar cost average means? You don't have to worry about what price you buy Bitcoin at. Okay, whether you buy it low, it matters, but whether you buy it low or high, dollar cost average means this. Okay, let's say Bitcoin, once upon a time, Bitcoin was at 12,000. Okay, and let's say I buy some Bitcoin at 12,000. Okay, let's say I buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin at 12,000. Okay. And then Bitcoin goes up to 15,000. Let's say I buy $1,000 more at 15,000. 1,000 more, okay? From this point, this scenario right here, I spent $2,000 on crypto. When you take 15,000, that's where I bought one at, and I bought one at 12,000. If you were to add those together, 15 plus 12 equals what? That's 27, right?
27.
Right? Yeah. 27. What I would do, I would pick a number that you can't, that's not divisible that much, but you divide 27 by 2. Okay, that will give me my dollar cost average, putting it basically in the middle of 15 and 12. So what I really bought Bitcoin at was at, let's say 13.5. Mm-hmm. That will be my actual dollar cost average. But that could also go. So when you hear us say buy the dip, when market pulls back, that's a good thing. Yes. Okay. Some people, you've been taught that it's a bad thing. Oh, the market is crashing. No, it's not. It's correcting. That's a good thing. I'm buying more. So let's say I initially got in at 15,000. Okay. Let's say I got in at 15,000. I spent $1,000 at 15,000. And then the market drops to 10,000. Oh my God. I'm at a, listen, you might think it's at a 10,000. The Bitcoin is crashing. No. Okay. You're not losing anything. What you're going to do, let's say you spend another 1,000 at 10,000. Okay. That's going to put your dollar cost average at 12.5. Okay. And now when Bitcoin goes back up to 15, guess who's in profit? You are. You're up in profit because you bought the dip. So you got to understand what buying the dip will put you back in a profitable position. Okay. Let me say it one more again. Buying the dip will put you back in a profitable position much faster. But you know what happens? You know, my mentor, in our company, Chris Terry, he says that, stock markets, financial markets, crypto, it's the only markets that I know that the market can go on sale and people run. The market goes on sale and people do the opposite.
Yes.
People don't want to get into the market until everybody's doing it. It costs. Like, I ain't gonna say that coin. I ain't gonna say that coin, but there's a coin that just went on the news. Okay, it's not even listen. Okay, but people are making money. So let me people making money. Okay, is it the right money? Probably not. It's not the best view of cryptocurrency. But anyways, the news just put up a cryptocurrency. I'm not even gonna say the name on here. Okay, and everybody start talking about it. Someone already made 64 million. Millionaires are already created. You're late to the party. As a matter of fact, almost too late. Because when you see it on the news, remember, media, government, any platforms, when they tell you to do something, you need to say, why are they telling me to do it? You need to question it. You know, as a pilot, we have a saying that you trust with verification. If you haven't verified it, why are you trusting it? A lot of you trust this whole system. Why? Because someone tells you it was good? No. You trust with verification. You trust with research. So hopefully that answers your question. So dollar cost average, you're just going to buy the dip, okay? And then it'll give you an average cost and put you in position.
Definitely. I'm going to take one or two questions so we can get you off of here because you've been amazing. Helen says, do you recommend taking it out? And I'm assuming she means taking your Bitcoin out or selling it.
For Bitcoin, listen, I'm never selling my Bitcoin, okay? I'm going to give you a guide to follow.
Before we asked the question, I knew his answer.
I'm never selling my Bitcoin. Listen, let me say this to you. Bitcoin gives you the right to print money, okay? Yes. Let me say it again. Some of you don't get it right now. You're going to get it later. Bitcoin right now is giving you the right to print money, period, okay? Why? Because it's collateral, right? You can't, and I'm going to make a point. The government's releasing these things called Bitcoin ETFs. Oh, Bitcoin ETFs are not Bitcoin, by the way, y'all. It's on the stock market. Bitcoin is made in a blockchain, okay? Don't let them fool you. They're about to water down this crypto space, okay, and take away the real value from it. But an ETF is not Bitcoin. So if you were to buy an ETF in Bitcoin, you couldn't put that nowhere for collateral. They wouldn't give you a loan for that. But I can take a Bitcoin that I own and I can put it on any platform, use as DeFi, liquidity, whatever I want to use it for, okay? Things that you'll learn in this field in cryptocurrency, how you can make more money.
Perfect. Okay, so she was asking, now I'm going to preface this with, he is not a financial advisor, but I'm going to ask his question for you anyway, and he can answer it however he likes. When she asked that question, she was specifically talking about her 401k and investing it into Bitcoin.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, let me preface that. I'm not a financial advisor, and here's what I would tell you to do. I'm not going to tell you to take it out of your 401k, but what I'm going to advise you to do is get education, okay? And then you make a educated decision on whether you want to keep it in your 401k versus put it in cryptocurrency. So know the risk level. If it were me, I'll tell you some things that I did back in the days, even before the crypto market, okay? So I had a thrift savings plan in the military, which is a 401k in the military, okay? And in 2010, right, I talk about that property I bought to get the truck. I needed a down payment. So what I did was I withdrew all of my 401k, my TSP, so that I can buy a rental property, okay? And I bought that asset, that rental property, okay? And I turned around that property into, I bought two properties. I bought a fourplex, okay, that I ended up bought a fourplex for $59,000, turned around the next year and flipped it for $120,000. That's what I had took out of my TSP plan. And I flipped the money myself. So if you are confident at what we are doing and how we're doing it, and you finally get it, that could be a yes. Okay. But I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to withdraw your 401k. I don't know what your position is. But just know, where is the money going? If your 401k is not making you money, okay, most likely it probably isn't. Are you taking some hits? You have a decision to make. Okay. And I'll tell you from my experience and research that no one's really doing that good with a 401k. There's a select few, but the majority of people are not doing good with a 401k.
That's good. So you guys, we're going to wrap up because the fact that he could take this hour out of his day means a lot. What I really want to point out, and I'm going to allow Randy to share his closing remarks with us, but what I really want to point out is, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, you've been now studying in this industry now, what, 4 years, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago, was it 8 years ago that the woman asked you or said something to you about Bitcoin? How many years ago was that?
So 2015, prior to 2018.
2015.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording, 2021, so 6 years ago, there was a woman who actually talked to him about Bitcoin. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah.
He went from zero knowledge in Bitcoin 5 years ago, 6 years ago. You guys, listen to this, to everything you heard today. And this is just a fraction of the knowledge that is in his mind. All right. I'm so grateful to be a part of this wealth community because we've learned so much over the last 15 to 16 months, things that I had never known. So what's important and what we want you to understand is, yes, you can become your own bank. We are officially what people call unbanked. And I know that's a confusing term, but the reality is we have now created, in one of my affirmations, you guys, I just created a MP3 so I can listen to my own voice in the morning with music to it or throughout the day. And one of them is, I am so happy and grateful now that we actually have our own family bank and we're creating a legacy of wealth for our family where we recirculate money in the McGee estate. That's powerful. And that's because of this education. So this is amazing. Okay. This was incredible, Randy. Thank you so much for introducing us to this education. If it weren't for you guys kind of kicking over that domino, we wouldn't be here. And so I'm grateful. And so the whole purpose of tonight, you guys, is you have options. You don't have to sit there and take what's been given to you. You have options. People will say, I'm playing the cards now, I'm dealt. Get a different hand. You don't have to play the cards that you're dealt. You can learn a whole new game. Just because you do not know the rules to the game does not mean the game does not exist. You got to learn how to play in this game of money. You have to get educated. If this really highly intelligent leader, this man right here, Randy Webb, my mentor to so many of us in this chat, if he can go from having zero knowledge really about Bitcoin to where he is today and cryptocurrency and how to use it to really create generational wealth, which is what so many of you guys are looking for. If he can go from that to this, and this is just part of the process, he's not done. He's not done. He's releasing an NFT. I just had to put that out there because he's going to give us even more education that you'll be able to purchase. So shameless plug for him because you definitely want that. And so I just want to encourage you to get educated. Whoever shared this video with you, whoever tagged you in this video, whose ever page you landed upon, you think it was on accident, but it was truly a blessing. You need to connect with them immediately because they have a way to help you get educated on exactly what we're talking to you about. And y'all, this is just a piece. It just happens to be a really good piece.
Yes.
So Randy, I want you to close us out however you would like. Your closing words. And as soon as you close us out, we're going to hit end broadcast. I want to thank you guys so much for hopping on with us tonight. And I want to thank you for just taking your time out of your day because you could be doing so many other things, but you agreed to be here tonight. I don't take it lightly. And I'm so grateful to be under your tutelage, your mentorship, your coaching. And oh my God, just half of the stuff that oozes out of the side of your face.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate so much. Well, listen, you just said some powerful departing words here, but here's what I'll tell you. Listen, for us, the transformation came from us changing who we are internally in the thought process. Today, you have a thought process probably that does not serve you. Okay. And if any time that you decide to make a decision financially about something that you're pulling something from the past, something that you utilized from the past that did not serve you today, how do you know it didn't serve you today? Because you're not where you want to be at. Okay, then you're going to have to eliminate those thought processes and get a new thought process. Okay, you're gonna have to read some books. It's proven that most people stop reading after high school. Listen, folks, I got a bookshelf right here. I got books right here, and I've read them all. Okay, and the reason that I got into my position is I had to read because reading motivates you. Reading reinforces the things that you're supposed to do. Getting education in the platform that we have reinforces where you're going in life. Right. If you want, I'm fit right now. Well, if I want to be fit, you know what keeps me locked in the game? I go look at people who are already fit. Okay. When I go in the gym, I see people who are successful in their field of fitness. Same thing applies to your financial market. Okay. Your finances. You put yourself around successful people and you say, oh my God, you can live that way. And you start having a different thought thought process. Okay. There's a book by T. Harv Eker, another one, this little workbook right here, but it's just something so simple as this workbook right here, The Good Millionaire. Changing your habits, your thoughts. And, I like his book. I'm going through this workbook here, but one of the things he says here, he goes, broke belief number one. Okay. Broke belief number one. If I have more, because this is what people believe, if I have more, someone else will have less. And that's so far from the truth. That's all fear and things that we didn't learn. And he says, maybe we were taught, and then on another one, he says, maybe you were taught not to want too much or you be considered greedy. How much do you feel that if you say that I'm rich or you want to become a millionaire, it feels weird, okay? And if you feel some kind of way, if I say you can get rich, you can become wealthy, you can be a millionaire, these things make you feel a certain way, that's an indication that you have to change your thought process. Because if you don't change your thought process, you'll never accumulate the money that you want to accumulate. Now, some of you are thinking like, well, I don't want to get rich. What do you think rich is? Okay, rich is having money for yourself and, of course, enough to be charitable for other people. Okay, other people also believe that rich people are not good people. Man, I just read this. He said rich people are not good people. How many of you said, man, rich people, they hurt people, they do this, they take money from people, they're bad? But that's far from the truth too, because let's look at the whole picture and examine it. Are some rich people bad? Yeah, some rich people bad, but let's go a little further. Are some middle-class people bad? Yeah, right. Are some poor people bad? Yes. So we have to change our thoughts. When we change our thoughts, we change our feelings. When we change our feelings, we start taking the proper actions. And we start taking the proper actions, we get the results that we want. So get back to the person who got you on this call, folks. Listen, I'm looking forward to plugging with each and every one of you. I'm excited. I love the impact that we're making in the world. This is not just a national thing, a company thing. This is a world thing. This is a community thing. And I know there's a lot of people's lives that need to be changed, and I can't wait to see their lives change. I can't wait to see the testimony. So you guys have a wonderful and blessed night. Thank you very much. Let's go. In everything that you do, let's continually leave your mark and leave your legacy. Peace.